This show is proudly brought to you by the Flowcrete Group. It's about racing,
about customizing, and about collectors. Join us in the show where we track down collectors of motorsport memorabilia.
This is the show where we meet those interesting people under the helmet, putting it all on the line to go as fast as they can.
We meet customizers who dedicate countless hours to building their dreams.
It's about racing and so much more.
Slide into our DMs and let us know what's the scoop.
Another episode of About Racing. This time I'm with 7-time South African Rally Champion Gareth Botterill from the Toyota Gazoo Racing team, sponsored by Wildcat Energy Drink Zambia. Guy, I know your team has their sights firmly set on the Africa Rally Championship 2021. You're currently 11 points behind Carl the Flash Tondo. You're driving the R4 and he's on the R5. What is the difference between these two vehicles, Guy?
Thanks, Mike. Well, first of all, the R5 is quite a more superior vehicle than the R4. The R5 has got a much higher top end than the R4, and everything's just a little bit better than the R4, but the R4 still is a fantastic car. We're managing to keep up with them in certain stages. We're hoping the next two events will suit our car, more of the tight, twisty, flowing sections where you're not in fifth gear in the limiter all the time. So then we can post similar times to the guys, and we're going to be right on their heels if they make a mistake. We're going to be there to pounce. We've had a few issues, with the car. Although we're 11 points behind, in Kenya we had a catastrophic event. Although we finished, we got time barred trying to change a clutch in the mud. So we didn't score any points there, and it just hasn't gone our way. We're in the second half of the ARC now.
So is it possible for the R4 to beat the R5? This is what the fans want to know.
Anything is possible, nothing is impossible. We're going to give it a go. All we need is the guys to have a little bit of bad luck or just maybe something go our way. Right from the beginning of this championship, we haven't shown our pace at all. Every single stage has been something going wrong with overheating or brakes or clutches going. So it's been quite a tough year on us.
I done some research. The R4 has 196 kilowatts, 382 newton meters of torque. The R5 has 210 kilowatts, 420 newton meters of torque. Going back onto the R4, right? The R4 tops out at 170 kilometers per hour. Let's go back to the R5. The R5 goes just over 200 kilometers per hour. Competitive advantage.
That's all very well, Gareth, but you must remember, it's 50,000 euros more for that R5. And the 2018, the R4, driven by Hucken Fecken at the York Rally, beat Manvia Brian in the Skoda R5. So there you go. It is very possible for the R4 to beat the R5. Guy has a fighting chance in this 2021 Africa Rally Championship.
Bring that title home, guys.
Guy, you've been called up for whole speed a few times this year, racing the Dakar Hilux. How's that been going?
That was a phenomenal call, something I've been waiting for a long time. Finally got the call, so that was incredible. It was all build up to the Desert 1000, the Toyota Desert 1000 race. So we did a local club race before, then we did the Delstrom event, which is part of the national championship in South Africa. We had a phenomenal event there. We finished second, and then we went to the desert race. That was phenomenal to drive 1,000 Ks in the desert. I had Simon as my navigator with me, and we're going really, really well. But we got an epic amount of punctures. I think we ended up with 13 punctures overall. So we did the maths and we saw what other guys, how many punctures they got, and we kind of averaged it out. And we were pretty much close to podium, if not podium if you subtract that, if you're allowed to do that in racing, because everyone has issues. But it just lets us know that our pace is there.
I think I saw a clip where you outran a helicopter. Was that you?
Yeah, that was us. That's incredibly high speed stuff. We were on the limiter for a long period of time in the desert, in the sand. So it's all new experience for us, and especially when you're driving where there's no roads, so you're never sure what's coming. And also the pace notes that we get given are not as good as rally pace notes, so it's a big learning curve, and when you're driving at those speeds, you've got to be very, very much awake.
That's Gareth Botterill from the Toyota Gazoo Racing team. Meet Issy, from tow truck driver to towing operation owner. He eats, sleeps and drinks his passion of chasing cars and collects a bunch of stuff along the way.
I actually own a towing company, so I own Megassist Towing. That's my towing company. So I started my towing company driving a tow truck, going around to people, towing their cars. And I always used to see an old car parked in the back. Never had the money to buy it. And then eventually, as things went on, the company grew. I bought my first classic car many years ago. And that's where it all started. Classic cars is my hobby. I do that as much as I can.
Catch episode 1 of Chasing Cars with Issy on KalumaTV.com.
It's about racing, it's about customizing, and it's about collection. And today we're out here to see a collection of motorsport memorabilia. We're up at Startline. Startline is a supply of a variety of motorcycle spares, as well as a showroom for some of the best and iconic historical motorcycles you will see. I'm standing with Paul, who is the owner of Startline, and I also got Trevor here from KZN Road Racing. They are going to take us through some of these bikes. Let's go check to these guys.
This is a 1974 TA125. It's a road racer. It's a production road racer of the day. It's an air-cooled twin cylinder with a 5-speed gearbox. In those days it had drum brakes front and rear. It was what you bought if you were an aspiring road racer and you wanted to get onto the track in the day. This particular one I found in pieces in a garage on the bluff, and it was a mess, and I spent a good deal of time and money to get it into original condition like this.
I love the racing box, the genuine racing box. So that's the MotoGP now, the Brad Binders, the Darren Binders are racing. So these would be basically your Moto3 bike of the past in those days. So you could go to Yamaha, order your bike, get it, race the South African Championship, and then go and race in the Moto Grand Prix.
This is a Spondon rolling chassis with a Yamaha AS3 engine, which is basically the same engine that came out of the comes out of the TA125. I imported this from England, also in a box. So you would have bought the Spondon rolling chassis with all the bits for the day to give you more handling and better performance. This is a TZ250N. It's probably the worst TZ250 that Yamaha ever produced. It was pretty crap. When I saw what they'd done, the technicalities of it with the reed valve and everything, I said, this thing will never run, and I was right. But surprisingly, it's turned out to be quite a collector's item because there's so few of them that are original, because the riders changed the engines in them because they were so, didn't work very well. It's a very original piece. I imported this from Japan. Again, just a strip down and a rebuild, and it was all in.
I'm back with Paul. He brought me in to see that iconic bike that he was hiding here.
Yamaha's first production motorcycle from 1955. This is a YA1. It's a 125. It was produced in 1955 and 1956. And the very first production motorcycle from Yamaha, and it was known as the Red Dragon, and this kicked off Yamaha.
Unrestored.
I received it. I bought this in Japan. I've ridden it. It's a beautiful runner.
Yeah, I found some interesting bikes at the back here with Blaze Baker's. There's his first Racing 50 parked in the back there.
Tony is Paul's right-hand man.
Well, I've been working on bikes for 50 years now, yeah.
I've known Tony since 1978. Some years back, I couldn't find the time to continue building my bikes, so Tony basically does that now for me.
Next time you're out looking for parts at Startline, New Germany, I have to encourage you to check out the bikes. There's a collection of history here, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see this amount of history under one roof. But I have to emphasize, do not touch. You heard me? Don't touch.
This show is proudly brought to you by the Flowcrete Group.